Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history and trivia and technical information. Today we're going to talk a little more about Encon, and what I really want to talk about today is the different model names from the Crompton Greaves era, because I didn't learn until recently that every fan during the Crompton Greaves era actually had a model name. We're going to touch on some other topics at the end of the video, but let's get into it. So first they had the classic line. And the classic line was the metal-bladed fans that could be sold, commercially, residentially, etc. The classic three-blade, as you can imagine, a three-blade metal-bladed fan, not light adaptable. The classic four-blade was also a metal-bladed fan, not light adaptable, but in addition to having four blades, it typically had the brass blade irons that were made here in the U.S. because, again, brass parts weren't available overseas at the time. So that's the classic collection. The designer collection was the stuff that had wood blades and fancier attachments, light kits, etc. Let's get into it. So the Calcutta from the designer collection is the ornate model, not light adaptable, with a really fancy ornate plate on the bottom. The Americana is a plain motor, plain light fitter, schoolhouse globe. The Casbah is the same thing, plain motor, plain fitter, but with a round globe. The Tiffany was a plain motor, plain fitter, with a slag glass globe, the Dan glass. And then the Victorian was the version that had the ornate 3 or 4-arm light kit. And then I don't know if it necessarily came with tulip glass or you could specify any type of glass. Wood blades were always optional. So you could get metal or wood blades on any of the fans. The classic collection defaulted to metal blades, and the designer collection, I don't know if they defaulted to wood blades or if they defaulted to metal blades and wood blades were just an option, but they're always pictured with wood blades. Wood and metal blades were available in 42-inch, 48-inch, and 56-inch. 36-inch and 29-inch were actually a separate model called the Princess. So those were not, the same as any of the other models. The designer collection, the classic, Calcutta, Americana, Casbah, Tiffany, Victorian, etc. were not available in 36 and 29, just the Princess. Okay, another question that somebody asked me was where were Crompton Greaves fans sold in the 70s? And, or Encon Crompton Greaves, rather. And we know that they started out being sold through antique stores. We talked about that in the Encon video. But in addition to antique stores, they were also sold in lumber yards, and they were sold in like dedicated fan stores like Dan's Fan City and Fanfare and those type places. They were not a showroom fan other than like a dedicated fan showroom. They didn't typically show up in the lighting, the fancier lighting showroom houses, and they were not typically a department store fan at that point. They were, kind of real middle of the road, real lumber yard. They weren't the cheapest. They weren't the highest end and the fanciest. So, last thing I wanted to touch on is, if you've been following these videos, I've been researching fan patents. So let's just talk about some fan patents that are assigned to Encon. These are all from after the Crompton Greaves era. So, Encon patented the bottom mount spinner, which was also called the Princess. It had the, there might be one, but yeah, there's one here, but this is not an Encon. But it had the brass on top, brass on the bottom, sideband, it was close mountable, etc. That was in 1985, and Angelo Industries still holds that patent. Encon actually patented the first dual mount fan in 1986. They patented those weird Atlantic Air spinners. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I didn't even know they were an Encon product until now. I've had a video of at least one. They've got kind of an oval housing with like a brass circle, and then the blades mount to the top, but the arms droop them down to the bottom, and then the globe is kind of like a baseball shape almost, kind of like Stewie's head, maybe. I don't know what they were called. They're very interesting. I've had one. I gave it away or sold it, but I did not know those were an Encon product, and those were patented in 1990. And the crayon fan, which most collectors know, was patented in 1992. Okay, so that's what I have on Encon. If I learn anything else, we'll do another update. But in the meantime, I think this has been plenty of information. The last Encon video was over an hour long because in looking something up, I found a document that was not public that I didn't even realize I had. And so I just read it on the video. And my God, wasn't that a long video? But we learned a lot. So I hope you've enjoyed these videos. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring every bell you can find. And thanks for watching.